What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Real Omar. Today's guest, he's been on the show before, but virtually. I got him here in person, and he has an incredible story, and he also has his own community. Welcome to my community, Plurawl, and I'll let you introduce yourself to the people.
First of all, thank you. I also forgot that I've been a guest virtually.
Come on, bro.
It's crazy, but it's been that long.
Yeah.
I feel like we've known each other for a long time.
And the relationship was all developed through Instagram.
Yeah.
It was all developed through that way.
Pabel Martinez, founder and CEO of Plurawl or Plurawl, however you want to pronounce it. It's a mobile app that helps you essentially stop jumping to conclusions. Like, we'll help you identify and overcome your self-doubt, your limiting beliefs, so that you can get back to living your best life.
All right, let's. You jumped forward, and yeah, that's what he does. But let's go. Your story is so interesting. I want to break it down. What got my attention? One of the things that got my attention about you really quickly. Early on, right? You were like very transparent about life. A lot of shit that I would have like. I'm in the mortgage and real estate business, so I would never know the tech side, and you were in the tech side, and you went on and you listed how much you made at TikTok. How did you get any resistance from the company on that? And how many people like reached out to you just on that one thing?
Can I curse on you?
Of course.
Yo,
it's real. It's real. It's not fake. It's real.
So I posted it on LinkedIn.
Right. I remember that. And I was like, oh shit.
And that was actually before a lot of the policies changed. Because in New York right now, if you put up a job description or you look up a job description, right now it has salary ranges.
Okay.
So there was a law passed in New York and a couple other states where if you put up a job description, you have to put a salary range.
Right, for transparency.
Right. It wasn't like that when I posted it.
Okay.
So when I posted it, and I posted my base, my bonus, my signing bonus.
You broke it down. Yeah. I was like,
I posted
shit.
my stock options.
Wow.
And all of those things. But it was on Latina Equal Pay Day.
Okay.
So
it was strategic when you posted it?
Semi-strategic.
Okay.
I didn't have a plan to be like, oh, Latina Equal Pay Day is coming up. I should do this grand.
It just happened.
I just woke up that day and I was like, how can I contribute to this in a way that like other people aren't contributing to it?
Right.
And I know that a big contribution to the wage gap, where men often get paid more than Latinas, is just simply because, like, I don't know, for a bunch of different reasons, but one of them is we just don't know how much people get paid.
They don't know their worth.
And
they get pressured, right? They get pressured because, and I don't want to get beat up on the show, but I believe there's a certain type of, there's a pattern out there to try to increase submissiveness in terms of ethnicity, especially a woman, gender. Like, yo, you shouldn't ask for that. Right. Like it became that culture that kind of brainwashed decades of people. Right. So here you are, you post your thing.
You shouldn't negotiate.
Right. No, be grateful. Right. You got a job? Be grateful. Right.
Exactly.
Like, okay, but what if I'm really good?
Right.
No, it doesn't matter. Right. Like that's another. We can go into that conversation, but going back to you. Right.
So if you know, though, how much I'm making in the role and you're interviewing for my role, then there's no need for negotiation.
Right. You should say, hey, this is what I'm getting.
This is what this guy's getting. I should get paid the same amount that he's getting.
Right.
And there was actually someone that interviewed for my role after I posted it, and she said that she was getting lowballed by $100,000. But then she referred to my post, and this was at TikTok. She referred to my post, and then they gave her what I was making.
No fight, no nothing.
Well, after that, how can you fight it? Like, I still work and I was doing it while I worked at the company.
And that was your starting base? Like, it wasn't like because you like incrementally moved up. You weren't there for that much long.
I was there for 3 months or something like that. And I just posted it. Yeah.
All right.
So some people would do that if they left the company.
Right.
Because you're like, oh my God, is someone gonna fire me? I was like, I don't care.
It.
I don't care. Worst case scenario, I'll get another job.
Well, tell me. All right, that comes from confidence, which comes from, I guess, you've been competent in your industry. So before TikTok, where were you?
I was at Meta.
You at Meta. Okay, for how long?
For 4 years.
Okay, 4 years. And then before that?
I was at another tech. I've always been in tech.
So how did you get into tech? Because that's not something I see a lot of brown and black brothers and sisters getting into.
So when I was at Northeastern University, part of their curriculum is that you go to school for 6 months and then you work for 6 months.
Right. So I've heard of that program. My son he got into Northeast. He just didn't go. He went to NYU. But I was one of the parents. I was like, yo, this sounds dope. It looked like a Target building.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So that most students, by the time they graduate, they don't have any internship experience. Meanwhile, for me, I left for like 2 years.
Right.
But one of the internships that I had was just like at a tech company that was local in Boston. And when I walked in, I was like,
what is this?
yeah, what is this? People playing ping pong. They're dressed like us right now.
Right.
And I'm like, this is not what I expect like a
Corporate
corporate place to be like.
Yeah.
So after that, I just worked. I was like, I want to stay working in tech.
Yeah, I like it.
And then I just continued. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so the startup, then how'd you get to Meta? You like, oh, they pay more money?
So when I was actually in college, I applied for a job at Meta. I didn't get it. And I didn't think about it like, oh, I didn't get it, I'm never gonna get in. I just looked at the job description and I was like, oh shit, they're right. I wouldn't have hired me.
Okay.
Like they're looking for like 6 years of Excel,
so
6 years of this.
You were being very accountable. You were like saying, yo, it's not because they don't like me, it's because I'm not qualified.
Exactly. Right. But what I did is that I used that job description as like goals for the next 3 years.
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna build up my resume until it looks like this job description.
And I can reapply.
And then by the time I wanted to reapply, they reached out to me.
Really?
On LinkedIn. Yeah.
Get out of here.
I haven't applied for a job in like 7 years.
I like that. I like that.
I mean, they've all reached out to me on LinkedIn. TikTok reached out to me on LinkedIn.
Really?
Meta.
While you at Meta?
Yeah, while I was at Meta.
Horrible. They don't care.
Yeah.
But you a girl, I don't care. I could be a girl.
And then before Meta at the company I was at previously, Meta reached out to me at that company.
Really?
So like, just because I built up the experience to like get recognized on LinkedIn.
All right, so 3 months at TikTok, you're like, fuck it, let me post my salary.
Yeah.
All right, so you got that feedback.
I didn't tell anybody about it before either.
Anybody, like your friends, what you were making, you mean?
So
before you did it?
The first line on the post was, how many people know how much money you make?
Right.
And I was like, up to this post, I was like, up to this post, not even my mom, my family.
Oh, okay, you never talked about that.
I had a girlfriend at the time. She didn't know how much money I made. Literally no one knew how much money I made.
Right.
Because we're trained to not talk about it.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first time my mom even found out how much money I made.
She can't care. Yeah. And you're not paying rent.
Yeah. So it was a crazy post for like millions of people saw it, including my coworkers, and people were talking about it within the company.
Wow.
Like even the CEO saw it. Like everybody was talking about it.
Right.
And then my
did you
family,
get the call?
I had conversations. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they call you up? Hey, Pabel, let's talk about this.
Well, both. Who? My mom or
no? We'll get to
the
your
company.
Family's one thing, but I want to talk about the company first. And
so individuals at the company,
yeah,
they were thankful. They were like, "This, thank you. Like
this changes the game.
This helps me negotiate for a higher salary. It opened up people's eyes into like how much money they were not making compared to me. I'll give you an example too. So I was on a team with, I was the only guy on the team. There were like maybe like 3 other women on the team at my level. They had more experience than I did in that role. I was getting paid more than them.
Right.
They didn't get a signing bonus. I did. They asked for the signing.
Did you negotiate it?
No.
Oh, it was just offered to you.
They just gave
we like
the
you,
signing
bro.
bonus.
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk about how much they gave you?
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
I think it was like I don't remember exactly. I think it was like a $60,000 signing bonus.
$60,000 just to come over.
Just to come over.
Wow. Okay.
They negotiated for a signing bonus and didn't get it. Wow. I didn't even ask for it. They gave it to me.
Right.
Now, there could be a lot of reasons for that, but again, the transparency was like, it was eye-opening for a lot of folks. Now, there were certain leaders that told me that like I shouldn't have done that. And they said that they're worried for me within the company because my job may become more difficult. That's what they said.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you feel?
I feel like I did the right thing.
No, but I'm saying like while you were working, did you feel any different?
No. Right. I didn't feel intimidated. I didn't feel like I did something wrong.
Did you feel liberated? So what made you want to talk about that?
Because I know that transparency could help
so many
even things out for people.
Right.
Like, I don't think negotiation should be part of the interview process unless you're maybe in sales.
Right.
But like, why? Just because I just think there should be a lot more equality when it comes to like how much we're getting paid if we're doing the same exact thing.
Right.
And have the same amount of experience. Like, just because you're a woman, you shouldn't get paid as much as me.
Agreed.
Just because you didn't ask for it. Like, I didn't ask for it, they just gave it to me.
Right. And you at least you knew your privilege at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it.
All right, let's pivot. So how'd the conversation go with your mother?
My mom was like, mijo, like, you shouldn't do this, you're gonna get robbed. Like, people are gonna be jealous, people are gonna become envious.
Yeah. That generation's big on that. Yeah.
What about the people that aren't doing as much, aren't making as much, all these kind of things? And funny enough, we had the same conversation when I posted that I just got my first investor.
Oh.
She was like, all right,
mijo.
I was like, all right, you did the post, but you didn't say how much money you raised. don't ever say how much money you raised. The same stuff. She's like, you're gonna get robbed, blah blah blah.
Right.
And I told her like, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Right.
Because there's someone out there that looks like me that doesn't think that they could do the things because they look like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be the example to show them like, yeah, you can do whatever you want.
And what you're talking about right now is what I preach in the show all the time about representation.
Yeah.
Because you got to see people that look like you, that you can identify with,
Yeah.
doing things that you might want to do, but never thought you could.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the door's open. The door's like, whether they reach out to, hey, question, like I get questions on DMs all the time. Yo, how do you start? Like,
Right.
where's the first step? I didn't have any of that. It took many years for me to figure out, right? But if I can accelerate the curve for the others, there should be more of us, right? So yeah, I'm glad you said that because representation is so important to me. Going back to when I grew up on the TV, like when I grew up, I'm older than you, so the only thing we have was TV, and TV always depicted us as like the violent criminal or
Right.
the rapist, right? The
Right.
Spanish guy was always the rapist. We didn't have any heroes, right? And you don't know what that does to a kid. Like, like, am I a rapist? Like, what? It becomes that questioning thing, right?
Sure.
So I'm glad you said that, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit because I believe that the programming is so widespread that we don't even realize it sometimes, right? The things that we see all the time. I was talking to my other boy, he's a cop, he's gonna retire soon, and we both came out the hood, right? We both grew up in the, and when we grew up in the hood, we see some wild shit. And then now that we're away from it, we're like, yo, that's kind of wild. But back when we were growing up, it was Monday,
Sure.
right? Like people dying, like like I don't want to make it really bad, but friends of mine who passed away, I talked to them Tuesday, Thursday gone, and and that was the hood was like Jay says it, it was all good yesterday, like
Yeah.
I don't want that for my kids, but when you're in that environment, that's all you know.
Right.
Right. And so doing these shows and even with your app, letting people know that it's okay to try to decipher your emotions or your anxiety or whatever doubts you're having, where it comes from. A lot of it comes, going back to what you said, your mom was, oh, don't say that. Like, we've all been taught that in one way, shape, or form, right? And it takes a certain amount of strength to break away. I don't know if you saw my post the other day where sometimes it's the closest ones to you have to turn off because they're like, no. And I'm like, yo, I'm not just, I love you, but I don't hear you right now.
Well, a lot of their advice too is meant to protect you.
Correct.
Because we care about them, we love them, and we don't want things to go wrong. So we're gonna tell the people closest to us to play it safe, just because we love them. It's not because we want to see them do anything bad. But what my mom was doing, she was talking about the future, saying how I was gonna get robbed and all these things, and she's trying to predict the future, right? But like, no one can predict the future. Mom, if you could predict the future, you'd win the lotto every week.
Right.
All right.
You're talking to the camera, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't, right? But here's the thing. When we try to predict the future, why is it always a worst case scenario? I'll tell you why. Like, according to the National Science Foundation, as humans, 80% of our thoughts are negative. So like, we're always like, that's just how we're wired. So, but I'm like, I think like when she sees risk, I see opportunity.
Right.
So,
and that's all mindset.
That's all mindset. Yeah. Like, we could train our minds to think more positively, but oftentimes a certain generation, like, they're passing down like survival tactics to us.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Because they come from,
and I get it,
desperation,
scary times.
Yeah.
They come from scary times. Like, you've seen some scary shit, right?
Yeah.
So the advice that you give even your children, it's obviously coming from a good place, but as a parent, you want to protect them.
Right.
If I had kids, I would want to protect my kids. I get it, and I empathize with that. So it's important also to like understand like where they're coming from.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, they also have their experiences, which filter what their perspective, their projections are going to be, but also they have self-limiting beliefs, right? And it's not because they grew up being self-limited, but I did another piece of content about, I didn't understand my mom so much until I really looked at my grandparents. Yeah. And now my grandparents and me were very different. Like, they loved, everything was good, but as parents to my parent,
right,
it was hard, man. They were rough. It was like machismo. It was Puerto Rico. It was, right over in the 50s. It was crazy. It was just a different thing. So I understood why she was so like damaged in terms of the way she thought, because I saw where it came from, right? But I think with me, as I pursued knowledge in general, just to kind of, because I knew, I was like, this can't be it. In the hood, I was like, nah, man. Like, my friends are smoking weed. I'm like, this can't be the end of my story, man. I think it's, you see all these things like that are possible. And then when I went to school, at NYU, and then I got certain jobs because of friends of mine plugging me into the right places, and I saw what the 1% lived like, and I interacted with them directly, and they were like just like us, right? Their own issues, like I'm like, okay, so it's just being in the right place, and also one thing I learned is like I have to learn a more of a higher paying skill. Like I don't have to be a police officer. Like there was like a few, professions that you thought were the way out the hood.
Right.
Like, I don't have to do that. And like everybody wanted you to be a doctor, a lawyer. Those are the safe professions, right? I didn't have to do that. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was always an entrepreneur because I just didn't fit into the confines. Um, and so you look around, you're like, oh, that looks successful. So I opened up a liquor store, right?
Yeah.
So the liquor store was doing all right. It was doing good from where I came from. And then I got opportunity to get into a nightclub. So I had both running, and they kind of served, they kind of fed each other. So I was killing it per that scale, per that metric. And then I met somebody who owned a mortgage bank and did real estate speculation. And he reached out to me because he needed to get into the Latino and Black neighborhoods. He couldn't get in himself. He was Jewish. And he explained to me, this is what I'm going to pay you. This is what you're going to do. Never labeling it, but explaining the game. Now, I still talk to this guy now. Like we're cool. We don't do business that much, but we're cool, and I'm grateful. So other people look at it differently. They'll be like, "Oh, he took advantage of you. You're buying stuff." Well, that's one way to look at it. The other way of looking at it is he introduced me to another way of business that nobody I knew was doing, and I understood. Like I had a no risk kind of arrangement where I'm just speculating for him, and I saw how the numbers started working, and I started seeing the machination, the levers, and I'm like, okay. I could do this. I could do this, right? And I did it for him a few times. So I already had like the internship. I was getting paid, but when you're moving for somebody else, it's different, right? You got to do kind of what they want you to do.
Yeah.
But then you take that and you be like, all right, let me put my flavor on it. Let me try to approach it this way, and then you have some sort of success. And then that's kind of how like it for me. That's how it worked out, right? Some people be like, oh, they just get like salty. I'm like, he made so much money, yeah, but that's his money. Who cares? Like he put up the 300. I'm just using numbers, 300,000, and he sold it for $1 million. I didn't have $300,000.
Yeah.
I made 18,000. I'm good. And to me, it was an education. That was the more important part.
Right.
Whereas I feel now, as I see the generations changing, I feel like they want to just make all the money without understanding the way it all works. Right? Just kind of get to the end. Like the best part of the movie is the middle. Right? The struggle, you overcoming, fortitude, resilience, and then you go on your hero's arc. But you can't go to the arc, you can't get to the end without developing who you're supposed to be. And that to me is a big part of what I see even as I grow, right? Like I want to be a certain person. I have to now think, look, and act a certain way, not to fake it, but also basically to embrace it, because I gotta look at things differently. I can't look at it, oh, it's gonna be $10. I'll be like, all right, $10, no problem, because I'm gonna make 100. Like, even if I don't have it at that moment, you have to start thinking that way. Things change that way because now the world looks different to you. It looks open to you. What have you seen? Yeah.
So people, you're saying like like this generation maybe, or like younger generations are maybe not impatient, but they just want things faster. I mean, like, so many things have sped up.
What I've personally seen is that the younger generation also is easy to talk themselves out of things. It won't work because I researched it and this and that and this. I'm like, and the last podcast just came up with an acronym that I love. I said, when IRL, in real life, this is what you have to do, right? Like you're gonna have to sweat a little bit. You're gonna have to lose to win. Like, and people don't understand that concept. I've lost to win so many times. I've taken bad deals when I was 19, 20. I had no credit. I needed a car to get to work. 25% interest rate. I had to take the deal. Why? Because I had to go to work, right? And later on, I'm like, I would never take that deal. But I built myself to a position where I don't have to take the deal. But in the beginning, if that's all I got, I'm gonna take the deal and make it work. And that's going back to being resourceful, right? Like, it's not the best deal, but fuck it, it's gonna get you to the next step, right? Yeah. Most people won't. Oh, I'm not taking that deal. I had a conversation yesterday. Somebody wanted to contribute to a purchase of a property, and they want to get unsecured debt, credit card. Oh, the interest rate's ridiculous. I'm like, well, it's unsecured debt.
Yeah. Also, like, you don't control the interest rate.
No, I said it, but that's what it is. Oh, but I could do this and do that. I was like, well, you don't own that, so you can't do that. You can't. like I get it. You have all the information, but you
Right.
don't know how the actual system works,
Mm.
right? So you're just spitting out verbiage. You're just talking words, and I'm like, no, that doesn't work. I'm not hating. I'm not saying I don't want you to. I'd love to do it for you because I do all those things, but you don't qualify because of this, or you're not. You don't own that, so you can't finance that. You can't like, and I'm plugging these things away, and I say it in a way to not insult anyone, but again, a little bit of entitlement. Like, oh, I'm 750 FICO. I'm like, I get it, but you don't own anything, and this is what insecure debt goes for. Google it. You know what I'm saying? 12 to 25%. It could be anything. So I'm sorry, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
But they thought they outsmarted the system by saying they would do it. I'm like, but you don't own that. You can't do that. Like I was trying to break it down in a very nice way. But that's what I find a lot now. I find a lot like they're grabbing information and they're trying to formulate theories on their own. And then I'm telling them, well, it goes in a sequence, and these things have to be, like, I'll use the term seasoning, right? Seasoning. You have to own a property for a certain amount of time before you can finance it. You don't have any seasoning. You just got it, so can't do it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's wrong. I'm like, I could do it at a higher interest rate, but you don't want to do the higher interest rate. So
Right.
I don't tell you, like, we're stuck here. So those are the things I'm running into where the information is so available, but there's no understanding, right? There's no understanding, and that becomes scary.
I wonder if it's because, like, on social media, for example, a lot of people just post the end result, or they just
Absolutely.
post the like, it's a highlight reel. They only show their success, so it almost seems like things are like an overnight success, but a lot of people aren't going to like walk you through the losses that you're alluding to. You know what I mean? Why? Because we tell ourselves, well, if I post these losses, no one's gonna want to work with me because they're gonna look at me like I'm a loser, or because of this, and that. When in reality, what you're really just doing is like showing people the journey. Like
You're
everyone,
documenting, yeah.
everyone has losses. Everyone has losses. Just like who's willing to be vulnerable enough to talk about it,
Right.
versus like only posting the highlights. But I think that like part of it is a result. Like if you only see the highlights, you're like, oh well, it only took him a month.
So easy.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
On top of that, I think a lot of people, like in this age, things are like not only so readily available, but like you get it instantly, right? Like people's attention spans are shorter. Everything is like shorter and faster.
Amazon Prime, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like the same effect of like ordering something and getting it delivered, people are also like associating that to like what success looks like.
Well, I worked out for 2 days. Why don't I see different? I was like, bro, because you've been eating like shit for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's like I talked to my boy the other day. I was like, listen, man, I work out every day. It's a little more important now that I'm a little older, but I was like, the 2 hours I put in is not. It's just to kind of keep me kind of steady in face of the maybe 15, 16-hour day I have ahead of me that I might be sitting a lot. I might be like,
Yeah, right.
I'm not doing anything. I don't break bricks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
So I was like, this is my life, and I have to now make it customized for my life. Now, if you flipping boxes all day, all right, you move it around, right? But I said, but as we get older, I started breaking down. I was like, your bone density goes down. And like you start talking a certain way that eyes go white, like like people are glazed out. I'm like, I'm just telling you, man, because you hear about those 60-year-olds that fall and break their hip. I'm not trying to do that, man. I'm trying to fall and get up. Like so all these things are done on purpose. But not enough people move with intent, or they only move with intent when it's too late.
Yeah.
I got diabetes now. What am I do? What you want to tell you, bro? Like,
right. And that was more reactive than proactive.
Yeah, now you trying to just deal with a symptom where I was telling you that behavior was the real problem. But you want to ball out all night, drink the sugary drink, and I'm not condemning anyone, but just understand everything we do has a cost, like negative and positive. Like positive things, for example, some of my friends don't understand me. They'll be like, oh, you like 16-hour day today and you back? I was like, yeah, I slept a little more in. Because I know what my week looks like. So I slept 8 hours today because I'm going to be from here working 7 o'clock, get home at 9 o'clock, go to sleep again. The day after be a shorter day. I can sleep a little less. Like everything is customized. But it's hard because it takes discipline. And discipline is the unsung hero that shows up no matter what. Jim Rohn says that. I love that. And people think, again, going back to the, I did it for 2 days. I don't see nothing. I'm like, yeah, bro, you're not going to see nothing. Give yourself at least 100 days. 100 days. That's all. Bro, the 100 days is going to pass no matter what. Right? You close the eye, you open your eyes, the sun came up again. I was like, why don't you apply yourself? So I think even Andy Frisella's Hard, 75 Hard is a good reset for people. You ever heard?
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah, so it just gives somebody I believe a finite amount of time to be a certain type of way. The real win is if you can convert your attitude towards certain things and your behavior patterns, and some of it sticks forever, right? But most people just say like, my man told me, I want to get in shape for my birthday because I want to look good in pictures. I'm like, what? I was like, yo, bro, you're 45. You should have a bigger goal. You have a bigger goal. But that's, these just conversations that I'm having, So I'm like, and I bring him to you because I'm like, yo, he has a younger perspective, and you're obviously talking to a lot of people, especially with the app. What do you feel is a bigger problem that you're seeing on your generation?
I don't know if it's specific to generation. I just think humans as a whole, like this problem has always been around, like around limiting beliefs. And again, 80% of our thoughts are negative. I think a big thing that is contributing to that negativity is us comparing ourselves. I'm seeing that pretty often.
With social media being the highlight film that it is, right, and so accessible.
Exactly. So everybody's on social media, and if everyone on social media is posting their highlights, if I'm on social media and I'm scrolling, and my therapist said this to me one day, but so real. Like as humans, we always compare up. We never compare down. Right. So if I post a video and it gets like 500 views, I'm not going to compare myself to someone that gets like 200 views and be like, yeah, I'm killing it. No, I'm comparing myself to someone that gets 5,000 views and I'm like, I suck. I ain't shit. Right. So I think the comparison is something that I'm seeing pretty often. In particular with younger audience as well. Like there's a bunch of people that, are in the comments, et cetera, that are in like high school or middle school or, even college students. And they do a lot of comparison, or like, I'm ugly. And I'm like, well, why do you feel like you're ugly? Oh, because this person has this, and that. All right, well, I don't feel like I'm a good son. Oh, why? Oh, because, you know what I mean? So it's not that.
These are real conversations you're having.
These are real conversations, yeah.
Wow.
So it's not that it's a fact, is that they feel
that way. And your feeling becomes your reality.
Your feelings become your.
I said this the other day. Yeah. Personality is your personal reality. Right?
Yeah.
So like what you feel is really true. Like I tell people all the time, if you say you can or you say you can, you're right.
Yeah.
It's whatever you think. Like, yeah, because, what are you willing to do? Like, if I told you like I use this example. If the house was burned, like I had my hips replaced, right? I did it because I got to a point in my life where it was severely limiting my mobility, and it just got to a point where if the house was burning, I don't know if I could have saved the family, and that became my motivator. I was like, I didn't know what it was. Again, going back to, I came from, that generation where they're like, yo, just fucking take the pain, right? Like, so finally I was like, yo, something's wrong. I thought it was just old age, and I was like, yo, man, this sucks, right? I'm 48. I'm like, oh, it sucks. But then I made it a goal. I was like, I gotta find out what this is and address it. So I went to the general MD, the orthopedic, and the surgeon. And he was like, yo, how you walking? Da, da, da. And I was like, listen, I just walk. He's like, what do you want? I was like, nothing. He goes, are you serious? So he shows me the x-ray. He goes, this, I expected to see you 10 years ago. I was like, well, my mom had gotten sick about 7 years ago, so that wasn't gonna happen, because that was number one for me. So I was like, but anyway, what do we have? What options? Because I'm at a point where it's really bothering me. It's making me irritable. It's just interfering with my life. And he was like, well, you can shout out to Carl Herndon, my MD. He was like, well, you can change your movement patterns. I said, well, I've done that. Now I'm getting to a point where if I move more than 5,000 steps, I start limping. So that's out. He's like, I can give you a cortisone shot. He says that can last 1 day or a year. He's like, totally individual. I was like, what does that do? He was just numbs the pain. He's like, nothing changes. You just won't feel it. He's like, or you can have the surgery. He's like, and before that, everything I read about hip pain was like, get lighter. So I had dropped weight. I was like at 240, 235, from 260, 270. So it was a big drop. He's like, you're in really good shape. He's like, I suggest you do surgery. I'll do both of them. Because he's like, you train? I was like, yeah, every day. He's like, how? I was like, I just go. It's like it hurts, but I go. He was like, all right, so I don't usually suggest this, but let's do them both at the same time. And you're in and out. And he's like, you'll be back to walking the day of the surgery. You have to walk to get out the hospital. and your therapy is walking. So I was like, bet I could do that. So I went home, told my wife, I have a plan, I have a solution. She bugged out. She was like, no, because she was thinking 80% of the thoughts are negative. She was thinking, what if something goes wrong? What if and she said, I'm taking care of you. Like, like if you fall on the floor, you're a big guy. So I had to have a Zoom call with him. She was okay with it. We finally did it, and here I am. Now I'm playing ball. I'm lifting weights. I'm better. I'm getting better, the best shape of my life.
Nice.
And I feel incredible.
Nice.
I feel like I'm 30 right now. Like
very cool.
In my 40s, I felt like I was 80 because there was so much pain. Like like Chucky stabbing you in the, Chucky?
Yeah.
Stabbing you in the hip. I'm like, oh, every time getting up, I had to hold on to stuff. It was bad.
Oh, that sucks, man.
Yeah. So I say that to say that, if you find a problem, you have to address it. Like, there's no way around it. You can hide from it. Like, I didn't know what it was. What if it was cancer? I don't fucking, like, I had no idea what was going on. But I've always thought, I've been of the belief that it's usually not as bad as you think it is.
Right.
Right? It's usually, to me, never as bad as, like, you make all these things up.
Yeah. And
you'll put yourself into a panic that you just stay still.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I just had to approach it like any other problem. I said, look,
yeah,
I've identified the issue. Who do I have to speak to?
Yeah.
I did the thing, and I got a solution. I did the solution, and luckily here we are.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. I think most of the situations that we're in, they're much more manageable than we think they are. In fact, so all of those comments that I was getting, that I was telling you about from, like, kids, teenagers, all the way up, was on TikTok live. So I go live on TikTok.
Okay.
I try to go every day, and for like an hour, and people go in there, and that's when they share in the comments.
Right. So everybody sees it.
Their situations are kind of like what's going on.
Right.
And I mean, there's people in there about, like, my boyfriend just broke up with me too. Like, I'm gonna end it right now.
Damn, that's heavy.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
But that's the power of, like, the app as well, is that at one point I told that person that said, like, today's the day, I was like, go use the app. And they used it, came back, and they said that the app helped them realize that their situation was more manageable than they thought.
Okay.
So, like,
so you felt totally validated. You're like, yes.
Yeah, I felt validated, purposeful,
yeah,
also, like, motivated.
Felt you serving.
Keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what was the well, I know we jumped around a little bit. So TikTok, then you decide, like, didn't get any pressure? You said you got no pushback.
I got pushback.
Oh, you did?
Well, I was like, you shouldn't have done that.
They said that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what? That was it?
Yeah, that was it.
That's not really pushback.
Oh, okay.
I'm going PM. That's not really pushback. All right, so then you say, you know what? This shit's too easy. I'm quitting. What happened? You became a speaker, right? You're still a speaker.
Not that it was too easy, but I just started asking myself a question. Like, at the time I was creating content.
Okay.
And it was going really well. I didn't know what I wanted to build, but I was like, what if I just quit my job, I have a savings account, and I just, like, dedicated time to, like, think about what I wanted to build. That's like the whole plan. I was like, I just need to think.
Right.
And that's what I did.
And that is such, the ability to be still and have your finances in order is what 99% of the world doesn't have.
Yeah, it was a privilege.
So think about that privilege. Yeah, no, I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
But I'm happy that you were able to take advantage of that and not just waste it, right?
Yeah.
Not just throw on, like, get cars and this, and then just start encumbering yourself with debt, and then all of a sudden you're like, I can't think because I gotta keep making money. Oh, that's what blinds a lot of people.
Oh, I'm one of the things that my mom taught me early on was just, like, save. And because I'm a really good saver, I bought my apartment. I mean, it's co-op, condo, whatever. And buying that apartment at such a low interest rate, my expenses are low as fuck.
Okay.
So from a rent standpoint, like, I don't have to worry about, like, oh, what if it's gonna increase next year?
Yeah. You're locked in. You're good.
Locked in. So yeah, my expenses are low relatively, and on top of that, I've saved a lot of money. So my savings at the time, I was like, for at least a year, if I don't make a single dollar,
I'm fine.
I'm chilling.
Right.
And I can maintain my lifestyle. I don't have to, like, cut back anything.
Okay.
So yeah, during that time when I was thinking, and I was just, like, looking at what else was out there and thinking about my own experience in therapy, how it was life-changing. I was also journaling at the time, and that, like, was helping me out. I was like, just putting shit together slowly, and eventually I came to the idea.
Let me pull you back a little bit, because a lot of people, you're talking about a lot of things that a lot of people don't like to talk about. So I gotta stop.
Yeah.
All right. So therapy.
Yeah.
When did that become a thing, and who introduced you to that?
So I got
Because for Latinos, that's not a thing you hear about too much.
fact. So I got introduced to therapy at a young age because my friend was going to therapy.
Okay.
I'm talking about like middle school.
Wow.
But it's not like I was like, "Ooh, I want to go to therapy because he's going." I heard about it and I was like, "Oh, he's crazy." I was like, "He is crazy." And my boy that was going to therapy, he was going to like a private school on the Upper West Side.
Okay.
So I was like, those white people got to him.
Yeah.
Like, motherfuckers in therapy? That's crazy, right? So I heard it, but I didn't register like, oh, that's for me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I was working at Facebook or Meta, and I was just having like an identity crisis because I was spending so much time. I was literally dedicating days out of my week to like study white people.
Really?
So that I can be the best like male version of like a tech guy. That's how bad I was like assimilating.
Wow.
Yeah, like I would literally dedicate like hours out of the week to like study white popular culture, so I could be.
So you can talk to them.
Yeah.
Right.
So I could be relatable, and I just became exhausted. I had like a breakdown, and that's when I started going to therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that pressure is real.
Yeah.
Yeah, because how many, and you don't work there anymore, so who gives a fuck? So how many people that look like you were there?
I mean, I was constantly like the only
You're the token
Black or Latino person in the room.
Wow.
Constantly. Yeah.
Wow. So there was nobody to kick it with and nobody to be yourself with?
Not on my team directly, not in like at the company, yeah, but like but they weren't on my team.
Right. So you weren't around them all the time.
No.
Right.
They weren't my clients didn't look like that either.
Right. So the big thing becomes culture, right?
Yeah.
You losing your culture.
And in sales, like you're in sales, right? A big part of you being successful is like being relatable.
Yes.
So like the stories that I would tell myself is like, I'm not gonna be relatable if I talk about like Insecure or Bad Bunny or this and that. I need to talk about what they're talking about. Right. But no one told me that. That was my stories that I was telling myself.
You spinning already, right.
Exactly, right? So, but that was just me jumping to conclusions. So I thought that would help me, but I learned that it didn't help me because I would like hand in presentations of like, oh, that slide looks ghetto. Can you fix it?
Really?
Yeah.
And this is cleaned up.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, what the fuck is a ghetto slide?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't the best slide ever, but still, you know what I mean? Or like people would call me aggressive, or they would call me unapproachable. Yeah, so I was doing all this work to like be accepted, but at the end of the day, like it wasn't working.
Right.
People still had this perception of me.
Right. Just based on visual. Because if they didn't know you, what are they gearing it on?
Yeah. So
their unconscious bias.
Yeah. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I need to like figure out who I am, but also like I need to like let go of all the shit that's in my head. And I didn't realize how much shit was in my head and that I was making up until I went to therapy. So so therapy helped me realize that I was creating stories in my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It just because I guess you felt out of place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you felt out of like, this is not my people, this is not my place.
I felt out of place. I felt like I wasn't good enough to work there.
Oh, imposter syndrome.
Oh, hell yeah.
Wow.
Hell yeah. Immediately.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're working with some of the smartest people in the world.
Right.
They've gone to like all these schools that, you know, Northeastern's a great school, but it's not some of these schools. They also come from Google and, you know, because tech companies
so they have the pedigree. They have the pedigree. Right?
So they have the pedigree on top of the fact that like no one looks like me there. So I'm like, oh my God, am I just a DEI hire?
Right. Or you have to work 3 times as hard.
All of those kind of things. Yeah. So like tons of self-doubt.
Wow.
So yeah.
I had my one piece of imposter syndrome not happened not too long ago. It was like when I bought the house in like was it 01? Yeah, 2021. Yeah, 2021. I make the decision. I move my mother up to Westchester in terms of care, and me and my wife are like, yo, there's a house in the Bronx. We're like, no, we out. We're gonna go to Westchester. Fine. So the how, that was on me. So I made it happen. We moved. Very nice area. Very, very nice area. I'm not gonna tell people stalkers to come to my house, but you know, I live this intersection of a lot of Westchester like high profile neighborhoods, and then the regular like you would call bodega, but they call them like farms. You go there and you see people like Joe Torre. You see them like, and you're like, fuck am I doing here? And there's nobody like me. There's a couple next to us, but they barely come outside. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but they're not really accepted.
Yeah.
That's my vibe that I see. All the people that kind of accept me, maybe because I'm dark. I could be white. I could just have a tan. But I was in the beginning, I was like having a little bit of an issue with like, damn, man, do I belong here? Like I would be worried about what I'm wearing.
Right.
I would be worried, and then
Yeah, all the time.
yeah, and finally one day I was like, yo, bro, look, nobody gave you anything to get here. I was like, this is me talking to myself. You got here on your own too. You're still here on your own too. Yo, fuck everybody. And that was a conversation I had that changed it for me. I was like, yo, fuck it. I'll go anywhere I want. If they get a problem with me, let them stop it. You know, it is what it is. And
Yeah.
everybody's very accepting. But I had to be comfortable in me.
Exactly.
Right. And that was it was weird for a second. I was like, yo, nobody, like when you come, like I'm relating to your story about Meta because when you go to a place where nobody's like you, when your family pulls up and they ask you whose house this is,
Yeah.
and you're like, it's my house, bro. Like, like, oh, what? Like, I'm like, damn, man. Like, no, like, no, this is me. This is me. And there should be more of me. There should be more of us. And as you climb, man, and I'm sure you've seen it also, like, the olive branches that are extended to you from the people that are already in position are not people like us sometimes, if you get lucky. But most of the time, for me, I've always gotten an olive branch from people that need me. And I've never took it that way. I'm like, all right, man, so you getting this, let me learn, right? I'm gonna go to your, like I call it I go to my other college and I'll learn the way you move to make things happen, how this works, how that works. So I can then maybe reintegrate it into my own thing, right? And keep vertically integrated. But that's the way I look at it. Some people look at it different. Like, what do you think I look at it wrong, or do you see what I'm saying?
I mean, take the help from whoever gives it to you. I don't care. I don't care what they look like.
Well, some people, they're like, no, I'm not doing that, because they're so caught up in the race bait where they can't see the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the better, smarter, more financially capable you are, the more impact you can make for your people. And I'm not saying just give out turkeys, because I'm talking about, like, if a kid comes up to me, yo, how do I start? Yo, this is how you start. Like, I can give you the blueprint, bro. It all has clues, right? Somebody comes to you, yo, I'm thinking about doing that. Well, this is what I did, right? Like, yo, that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people these days are like hesitant to share free game. Unfortunately,
I think it's because I think that statement is valid because now it's easier to see each other. Like back in the day, I'll give you an example. In the 90s, I had my liquor store 99. It was heavily Jewish, dominated by Jewish people. And they were like, no, it's a horrible business. Don't get into this business. But that was because they didn't want you in it. They didn't want you to compete with them. So it's always been around, right? I just believe that if you're the best at something, no matter what, you're going to win, right? So now with social media, everybody kind of sees it. But then here's the juxtapose that I'll give you. How much of it is it real? How much of it is it real? And how much of it is just smoke and mirrors? Right? You have a lot of guys flossing out there with this, with that. Oh, let me sell you this course.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, what do you sell? Well, what do you do? Like, I've had guys, yo, let me increase your reach. I'm like, look, I'm at 100,000 followers. That's cool for me. Like, 100,000 people to me is a lot of people, right? I don't look at likes. I don't look at engagement. You have to work on your engagement. I don't give a fuck. Like, engaging to me is talking to people, right? I'm talking to people. Like, anybody reaches out, I try to reach out. There's so many fucking bot spams and all that. It's hard, but I made it, like, this year especially, to comment more on the comments, right? Because I feel like people feel like I put stuff out, but I don't really. And it's hard because you can't be on the phone all day. You got a business.
hard.
You got a business to run, right?
Yeah.
So that's been my active thing. But when people hit me with the metrics of this, I'm like, listen, the way I look at it is, if I was able to call 100,000 people every day and still conduct business, I would do that. But you can't. So they get a snippet. They know I'm there, top of mind. Hopefully they need me to hit me. I've gotten a lot of deals right off a DM. Hey, man, this guy denied me. Can you help me? I'll ask certain questions and I'll put them through and we'll close the deal. But to me, that's what it's about. That's what it's about, helping and giving out free game. Like, if you ask me how you do incorporation, it costs $350. It costs $1,000. You go on NewYorkState.com. Like, other people, yo, give me $1,000. I'll do it for you. I'm like,
yeah,
bro, come on. Like, what are you doing with that, right? So yeah, going back to what you said, a lot. I think people, they're valuing the monetization of a transaction over where we could actually go.
Yeah.
Like right. You be on the show, right? I say, yo, come down. Like, I'm doing something. I say, I'm going away too, but let's make it happen. I think it's important. I think it's important for people to know, a guy like me who's talking about, like, usually real estate and mortgages, to also know that, yo, I'm in touch with my feelings too, and I know I'm going through shit too, right? And that most people won't do that. They're like, no, everything's good. Everything will be good, right? We'll all have those bad moments, right? As long as we don't let those become days and weeks, and if that becomes a thing, then you should definitely get some sort of professional help. But it's not all up.
Yeah.
And you can't really appreciate up unless you've been down, right? So that's my personal experience. Like you don't know what it is to be hungry if you've always been fed. I tell my kids all the time, shut up, dad, shut up. I'm like, look, man, I grew up. I use Gary's thing. I grew up in the jungle. You grew up in the zoo. Like you can look and nothing's gonna hurt you. Me, if I people sized me up when I was young, check my size of my sneakers because they would rob me. I was in the Bronx. I was like, what? 10 years old getting robbed. I'm like, Jesus. And that's just the difference of the way we grew up. But I appreciate it, right? So I don't know. What's your take on that?
I mean, it's a lot. Yeah, I do think people try to like monetize the short-term interaction without thinking of like the long-term potential of that relationship.
They don't see big picture.
Yeah.
Like, for example, not to cut you off, I want you to keep going, but when I asked you to bring me a shirt, what did I say?
Let me pay, like,
Yeah, how much does it bring? I'll pay you. Because I don't want you to think, it's, nah, because I make shirts too. I know what they cost. And I'm like, to me, if you wear my shirt, I rock with you. Same kind, like if anybody sees somebody wearing my shirt, we rock. Like they can call me. They have my number. It's not like, oh, he just bought it. Eventually we'll get to that part. But for now, to me, it's almost creating a community, a tribe.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think more people should think like long term, but I think there's also we're in this just like side hustle culture, or like, yo, charge your worth or do all these kind of things. I see all these posts on LinkedIn and like Instagram and TikTok. They're like, don't let nobody pick your brain for free. But we fail to realize that like someone helped us for free. That's the reason that we got to where we are, right? Like if I was interviewing at Facebook, like there were people that were like, yeah, this is what they're gonna ask you during the interview.
Oh, nice.
They didn't charge me for that. Like same thing, like my post when I went on LinkedIn, like I didn't charge people to like know how much I made. Like we should yes, know your worth and like charge people for certain things, but also like there's nothing wrong with like letting people pick your brain for free. I help people all the time.
Yeah. As long as they don't abuse it.
Yeah, as long as they don't abuse it. Man, I think the other piece is that people are more likely to help you if you have a relationship with them, right? So like I didn't give you this shirt, or you didn't give me this shirt because like, ooh, like, you know what, in 3 months, I'm going to ask him to do me a favor. But you never know in 3 months if you're like, oh shit, you know what, Lewis would be able to help me with that.
Right.
And like, you're probably more likely to do it because we have a relationship that isn't based on this like short-term transaction. You know what I mean? So like, I think more people, like we need to get back to like building relationships with people, not for the sake of like monetizing it, but just because you fuck with the person.
Being good is never a bad idea. Right? Yeah. I stole this. It's gonna post soon. My man Jay says it all the time. Jason Clio. I work in goodwill, meaning I do shit because I think it's the right thing to do.
Right.
It is, and like something. Oh, get it in writing. There's certain things I will say you should get in writing.
Of course.
But even then, I've done multi-million-dollar transactions with nothing in writing. I've gotten burned. But when I really sat down and thought about it, it was the best thing that could have happened to me because that relationship or being in that transaction with that person would have driven me crazy. Like they were just not a good fit for me. They took way too much bandwidth for me just to have a regular relationship. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you had to stop every day. Hey, man, hey. No, because I can't do anything else, right? So I've thought that through. And initially, of course, you get a little upset. But, like, if I could do this for that, imagine what I could do for myself, right? You know how, like, your mom says, she's scared for you. What if all these things can go wrong? I'm thinking about what if it all goes right? Right? What if it all goes right? Do you know what kind of fucking scale I'll be at? And that's the way I live in faith. I know I do have fears sometimes, but I don't let them drive me. I push them to the side. I just, all right, I see you. I heard you.
Yeah, we all have fears. That's natural.
Yeah,
everybody has them.
Absolutely. But some people get stopped by it.
Yeah.
Some people get like, immobilized.
Yes.
Right? They get immobilized by it. And I hear that more and more. I was scared to do this. I was scared to do that. I'm like, yo, I'm scared to go to the dentist, bro. I go anyway. Like, I don't like somebody drilling my mouth, but we got to figure it out. We have nerves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To me, it's that simple. So, okay. You leave TikTok.
Yeah.
You start speaking.
Yeah.
So how did this niche, because it's a niche,
Mm-hmm.
how did this niche become so prevalent?
Well, that's the crazy thing about like creating content is that like you create enough content that eventually people will just like reach out to you for opportunities.
Okay.
And that's what happened. Like somebody in my network was like, yo, I really like what you're talking about. I have an event coming up. I think you'd be a great speaker for it. Like, do you have any content ready? Like, do you do this? I was like, hell yeah. I didn't have shit. I didn't have
Ready,
anything.
sir. Ready.
Yeah, ready. But I just like that's what happened. That's how it happened. And then the first one, since I did it and it went well, I was like, shit, well, if they want it, then these people probably want it too.
Right.
So I just packaged it and I just started selling it to everybody and was like, yo, like you got an event coming up? What's up? I'm your guy.
Right.
And I just started, the majority of them were like virtual, but some people flew me out to do like keynotes for like an hour.
Nice.
And yeah.
So you spoke for an hour?
Yes, most of them are like me speaking
Q&A?
for an hour. There's like 45 minutes of me doing a keynote,
Okay.
which is interactive, and then like a 15-minute Q&A.
Okay.
Some of them are like fireside chats, but like all of that happened because I was just creating content online about something that I was passionate about,
Right.
which was this idea of redefining professionalism.
Right.
Um,
And that all stemmed from your issue
Yeah,
that you were having.
because I was faking it for so long.
Yeah, you were having, you're like, yo, man, like, this ain't right. Like, my shit is going crazy.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly. But at this point, I've done like 30 or 40 of them. I've done like, you know, Google, Salesforce. I spoke at South by Southwest.
Did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
about the same topic. Snap, Spotify, like you name them.
Well, TikTok.
Well, no.
Yeah.
TikTok won't even let employees that work there now be on my podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, they've even the managers there.
You guys get that?
The managers there even told their team members not to engage with my content.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so they salty.
Yeah. But I'm cool. I got friends that work there.
Yeah, I know, but you can't take it virtual with them.
Yeah, they were actually trying to hire me. Well, friends there were trying to get me to do a speaking engagement there, and they were like, nah.
They're like, no, we don't have budget for him.
Yeah. No, they were just like, yeah, he nah.
Person non grata?
Just nah. Which, you know, whatever.
It is what it is. Listen, you're on your voyage right now, you're on journey, and it seems to be going well.
Yeah.
So let's get to the app.
Yeah.
So what you like, therapy really helped me.
Yeah.
How can I bring this to the masses?
Right.
Right? Is that really the thought process?
So the app actually was a combination of like therapy, but also like the speaking engagements. So like as I was doing the speaking engagements, I would often ask people like, you know, what's holding you back from being your most authentic self?
Right.
And they would respond by saying, essentially their version of trying to predict the future and how bad it's gonna go if they are their most authentic self.
Ah.
And I was like, well, like, how do you know that's gonna happen?
Right.
And they were like, essentially like jumping to conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, right. And eventually what they said was like, damn, Pete, I wish I could just like take you and put you in my pocket so that anytime I doubted myself,
We could talk about it.
we could talk about it. Or you can just tell me like, you're just jumping to conclusions.
Right.
And I was like, oh shit, you can't put me in your pocket. Some of y'all can't. But what you could do is put a phone in your pocket. So what if I can create a technology that will do just that, right? They can vent about whatever they're going through. They can click a button and we can help them identify the limiting beliefs that they're holding on to. That's what therapy did for me. Like I would talk to my therapist about a situation and she'd be like, Pabel, how do you know that that's going to happen like that? And I was like, it's obvious, like this, and that. And she was like,
Is it obvious?
yeah. And I think you just made up that story in your head. And I was like,
Right.
she's right. I did make up that story in my head.
Right.
But
But you're trying to project. You're trying to see the future.
Exactly. But the thing about therapy, like it could be up to like $200 an hour.
Right. It gets costly. Right.
That plus when I was in therapy and it was paid for at Meta, I only saw them once a week. What about those other 6 days? What if I have a panic attack at 2 in the morning? I can't call my therapist. Right. So there's a lot of limitations beyond just the stigmas that are associated with therapy. So it was this combination of like therapy is great, but it's inaccessible for folks. People, potential customers, are telling me what I should be building without telling me directly, right? They were like, you should put, I wish I could put it in my pocket.
You see a need for it. Right.
Right. So I was like, let me just start.
And it's all based upon the year you had to think.
It was based upon the year I had to think, and thankfully, I had my savings account, but I was also making money doing speaking engagements. But yeah, I mean, it all started because like of my being frugal and being safe, having enough, just like
To walk away.
knowledge to walk away, but also to save money.
Right.
For years before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was a pattern.
Like I was saving money, not knowing why I needed the money. I was just saving money just in case. Yeah. But come to find out, the reason why I was really saving money was
For this.
to hold me down for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's been 3 years, and that savings didn't last, so I had to cash out my 401k. Yeah.
From TikTok.
From everything.
Of all
I
it.
cashed out all my 401k.
Okay.
Because I'm a non-technical solo founder. So in order to build the app, I had to pay an app dev team to build it.
Right. Because you don't know how to do it yourself.
Yeah, I don't know how to do myself. On top of just like paying for other expenses and shit like that. Yeah.
Or just living.
Yeah, a bunch of shit.
A bunch of dumb shit. Going on dates.
Sure.
all that. So, all right, can we talk about where you're going now?
Yeah.
In terms of, you got an investor.
Yeah.
All right. So, how'd that happen? So this is all basically bootstrapping.
Yeah, all bootstrapping.
In the beginning, right? And I remember I sat with you that one time you did the thing in the coffee shop, and I was like, yo, are you looking for small investors? And you were like, I think so. And then we just never talked about it again.
Yeah.
So you ended up getting a larger investor.
I am looking for investors now.
Okay. So he's looking for investors.
Yeah, I'm looking for investors now. But the reason I wanted to bootstrap, it's funny, I didn't want to bootstrap. I tried to raise money from investors, but like, I just didn't get anything.
Okay.
It's funny because in my phone I actually have a list of like rejection emails.
Do you?
Of like specific things that people have told me.
And you keep them there just to motivate you?
Yeah. Well, funny thing, right? So you asked me about like working in tech, like do people look like you? Mm-hmm. If you look at venture capital,
they really don't look like you.
0.48% of all venture capital dollars goes to Black founders.
0.48.
0.48%. And similar stats exist for Latino founders.
Really?
So think about that, right? Yeah. This is the lowest minority number that I've ever been a part of. Like, people that look like me just don't get money from investors.
Right. So,
yeah, I got rejected from a lot of investor conversations.
Okay.
Not conversations, but like I just...
No, you got shut down. You got shut down.
Yeah.
So that was in the beginning, and then eventually you got a yes.
And eventually I got a yes.
What changed? What was it? A different presentation, timing, you think? Somebody you knew that knew somebody?
Well, I think, so when I first started, I had like a idea and I was building the prototype. Mm-hmm. So like some investor was just like, he doesn't have a product yet.
He's not ready.
Right, he's not ready. So then, but these investors, to be fair, like they invest in companies specifically at the idea stage.
Oh, okay. All right, so
because you
didn't have an idea they were ready to invest in.
Other people don't have ideas and they're ready to invest in. They didn't do it.
You.
Yeah.
Because you're 0.48.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, let me get a prototype. I got that, applied, nothing. Then I built the app, launched it, got a couple users, still nothing, right? But throughout the process as well, I also got better at presenting. Mm-hmm. Like when I first started pitching, I didn't know what my story was. I didn't know how to talk about what we were building, right? Is it a mental health app? Is it this? Is it that? I also didn't have the stats and the data around like user engagement.
Okay.
So like these days, I know that per session, on average, every user, on average, is using the app for up to an hour.
Wow.
So it's akin to like a therapy session compared to like a meditation class.
Right.
So like I didn't have all these stats and things. So like now I got to the point where like I have a lot more traction and I know my story and all those kind of things. So like that could be why. Well, or I just found the right investor.
I think both. I say the work will take care of you is something I would say to myself, the mantra.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you never stop working.
Yeah.
You may have gotten the no, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
You started getting data collecting. You started doing things that they would maybe, if you were another complexion, would give you the pass on.
Right.
But you weren't deterred. You kept on. You kept on. Working in faith because there was no guarantee.
Yeah.
Right.
And also like I picked up certain things because like some of these people like I would have interviews with. Like I would get past the application and have like an interview.
Did you have to go to offices?
No, it was all virtual.
Okay.
So like even if I got rejected, I would learn something from the meeting because they would say, because like during the interview, they would ask me certain questions and I was like, oh, that's where the confusion is. They were like, oh, are you making money already? I was like, oh, I didn't put that in the slide. I should say I already have customers. Or they would be like, how long you been working on this? I was like, oh shit, I need to, you know what I mean? So like,
so you kept refining yourself.
I kept refining myself throughout the process.
But that's it's almost like AI, right? You're actually, because other people are like, oh fuck it, they just don't like me.
Yeah.
They leave everything the same. Like, bro, no, you can grab something. Yeah. You can learn, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And also, I think so many people wouldn't have taken those early, or like they wouldn't have applied as early as I did because they would have waited until like now to like do
So they
that.
got to this stage.
But if I started now, I wouldn't have been able to pitch with all these learnings that I had from all those rejections.
And all the data.
And all,
You have real hard data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's a combination of like, yeah, I'm in a better place like product wise and business wise, but also like I learned where the confusion was early on, so that by the time I got to the interview with Techstars, I was able to land that interview.
Okay, so tell me about that interview in particular.
Yeah, so Techstars is interesting. It's the largest investor in tech startups in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
And they're not in New York.
So they have programs globally, and each program, so they have 2 programs in New York. They have programs in DC, throughout the country and world.
Okay.
So you get to apply based on the city that you want to go, and each city program is tailored to that city. So in Baltimore, they have a big focus on like healthcare because Johns Hopkins is there and a bunch of other things. New York is sponsored by JP Morgan, so they may have more of a fintech background. Yeah. I applied and got accepted to the program in Oklahoma.
How'd that happen?
That was my first choice.
Really?
That was
Why?
my first choice.
Why'd you identify it there?
So I want to save lives, right? I want to help people with their mental health. Oklahoma is actually ranked 13th or 15th when it comes to suicide rates in the country.
Really?
So in Tulsa, specifically where I'm going, is as a city, is ranked, I think, like 13th or 15th, same category, suicides.
Really?
So I'm thinking like if I could have the biggest impact and work with like the local governments, local organizations, I think that's the place for me. On top of that, their program is focused on underrepresented founders. So I wanted to go to a place where I feel like I could be myself and not go back to that like
that role playing,
feeling like I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Like everyone in the program is Black or Latino.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's fire. And so Tulsa, I don't know if you know about it, but
old that I watched with
Tulsa Massacre. Have you heard about it?
No, I was gonna say Tulsa King.
Oh,
it's the best Stallone show. No. So Tulsa Massacre.
So Tulsa used to be home of Black Wall Street.
Oh, okay.
So back in the 1920s, Tulsa, that was the home of the most Black millionaires in the country, and at that time, Black people were creating patents at the same rate as white people.
Oh.
But that all went away because of the massacre. They literally just like destroyed the city.
Right.
So I feel like it's gonna be like nostalgic and inspiring, just like walking through that part of town, just like every day on my way to work. So like for those reasons, I
reinvigorate you too, right?
And I got in. Yeah.
Yeah. People don't know about Black Wall Street. The people that do, they kind of polarize it a little bit. Like, oh, it's so isolated. I'm like, yeah, it could happen in any state.
It's happened, but has happened again. Yeah.
This happened there at that time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important to know your history, but it's great that you're using it as a motivator and not as something that's kind of influencing you to kind of back off on that.
Yeah.
So you're going over there, and how long you be gone for?
I'll be gone. So the program starts March 10th in demo day, which is kind of like the last day of the program, where it's like you're in an auditorium and the 12 companies that are part of the program, they essentially present to the room about like what they're building and also like the traction that they've had during the program.
Yeah.
With the idea, there'll be investors in the room with the idea of like, you're supposed to like raise money during the thing.
Move. Right.
So that's the whole plan. So it ends, I think, on like June 6th. So I'll be there for like 3-4 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
That should be interesting. It'd be different than the Bronx.
Very different. Very different. I'm excited. Yeah.
How's your family feel about it?
They're excited, but obviously missed me for like 3-4 months, but they're excited. I don't think they really like put it into perspective, like
what could happen,
what it means, what could happen, what's next. The millions of dollars that I hope to raise after the program, I don't think they're like thinking about all this.
That scale's too big.
For sure.
Right, it's too big for them. They can't comprehend it, right? But they know their son and grandson is going away.
Yeah.
To work on his app.
Right, yeah.
That he could do on his phone at home.
I don't even think they comprehend like what I'm building and like the impact that it's even having now. I don't think they comprehend it.
Who does? Your friends do?
I don't think they do either.
Really?
Yeah, no. Because I just had coffee with a friend the other day. He was like, yo, I didn't realize like the scale around like some of these things and then the potential about like what you're on your way to do.
Yeah.
But like the more that I talk about it, I think people start realizing it.
Yeah, people.
Even something simple, like I was telling my friends of like my company at this stage, like what is the average valuation for companies? And when I tell people, they're like, "Oh shit!"
Well, you gotta say it.
Well, like the millions of dollars.
Right.
Yeah. So people be like, are you a millionaire now?
Not yet.
And I'm like, I mean, technically, I
If you look
guess.
at the valuation.
Technically, yeah, I guess. But like, yeah, I don't think people put it into perspective.
It's hard if they're not in the game either, right? It's hard if they can't comprehend the way some of these things work, like
Yeah.
valuations and things like that, revenue and blah, 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 and potential.
Yeah.
The potential is that how many people in the world? 8 billion? Some ridiculous.
Yeah, billions of people.
You could be in everybody's pocket.
Yeah.
Just like they wanted you to be when you're speaking. Hey, I wish I could have you in the imagine that. Do you use your voice for it or do you have other voices?
So we're about to launch, right now it's voice to text and texting, but we're about to launch where you can have a whole voice conversation with it, like a phone call.
Are you doing your voice?
I'm doing my voice and I'm gonna do my friend's voice. So like,
Okay.
But we'll expand it to like other voices.
Right.
Why, you gonna volunteer your voice?
You can do English, you can do yeah, I'll be the harsh voice. There you go. Come on, bro. Stop. We talking about this right now?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I think I think I told you before, you have a great voice.
Thank you.
Tonality is essential when conveying a message.
Yeah. I think you have a great voice, by the way, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I don't think so. My wife makes fun of me all the time.
We'll get the legal paperwork, man. We'll get you in the app. Hey, are you having a bad day? Let's talk about it.
Bro, what's
How
going
are
on,
you
man?
feeling?
What's happening?
Yeah.
We really having this?
Yo, that would be fire. That'd be hilarious.
There might be a deal being negotiated right now.
Seriously,
for you guys.
Yeah,
For
seriously.
you guys. Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about that later.
But that's even something as well, right? Like, I think we are often thought about as like, we're just an afterthought. We're an afterthought, right? And
When you say we, what do you mean?
like underrepresented groups, Black, Latino.
The word I like lately is marginalized.
Sort of marginalized.
Right. Yeah, I that word, I heard it the other day. I was like, fuck yeah, because all these people have this access, right? And then I'm lucky enough to know, and now you are in terms of tech, but I know about real estate and finance, so I can bring it in.
Mm-hmm.
But so many people don't know about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's sad. Anyway, with today's age, with social media, with this, with that, and then bad information. But I don't want to go on a tangent. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah, well, one of the motivating things for me to be like, you know, if not the number one, just like one of the biggest apps when it comes to mental health is that like, I don't want our communities to be an afterthought. So like, no one is building a mental health app like for our community that I've seen. It's just oftentimes not for us. And if we are not the number one, then no one is gonna think of some simple shit like only like creating different dialects in Spanish, right? There's always one Spanish option. What if you can go in there and you prefer to hear Puerto Rican Spanish, Dominican Spanish, Mexican Spanish?
It's very different
Like
too.
that is a big deal when you are venting and you're hearing the voice back to you. Like you are gonna feel more comfortable if you can hear it in your native tongue. You know what I mean? Like
The commonality is a big thing. When
people just don't think about that shit because white people are creating these apps for us to use.
and they don't have the culture.
Exactly.
Right. The culture is the thing. The culture is the thing. It's like I speak to a client walks in here off the street. Hey man, I got this offer from Rocket Mortgage, right? Whatever. I'm like, okay. He's like, can you look at it? I'm like, okay. I sit down in the conference room. I look at it. It's pretty decent. I said, all right, man. I think I checked the market. I was like, yo, it's about right. You're good. It's a good deal. I'll take the deal. Well, can you do the deal? I'm like, yeah, but that's not what you engaged me for. You wanted me to just I'm telling you, pretty good deal. Yeah, but you speak Spanish and you're here. And if I need to talk to you or my wife, because you know there's the wife, there's the daughter, I want to know, and that's the culture. Not just that I'm here, but I speak Spanish because I was speaking to him in his native tongue,
Right.
and I was breaking it down in increments that he could digest,
Yeah.
right? Whereas I'm just making a word name up, Robert Griffin from Cleveland, he's white. He's just gonna explain the numbers, but he's missing the culture. Like, how does it impact him? Well, the way it impacts you is this: your payment goes down $500 a month, so you get $5 more, and you obliterate all this credit card debt. So now you don't have that. Now, if you run it up again, this is the way I talk to my clients. If you run it up again, that's on you. But I'm telling you, we're gonna get rid of this all 14, 16, 18, 24% interest rates, wrap it into this 4, 5%, whatever, and your payment's still going down $500 a month, just your mortgage payment. I've released another $1,600 a month in credit card payments. Now you have 21, so you can either pay your mortgage down or save a little money. But don't, I tell them, don't go gambling. Don't do that stupid. It's more than just going from 7 to 5%. It's you have to show them how to apply it. How does it work in IRL, in real life, right? That's my new shit now. And that is the big difference with our people. Like, numbers are one thing. How do I use it in my real life? I want to speak to you, but even when you're talking to somebody and it's not your first language, right? It's hard to express yourself. You ever seen somebody get frustrated trying to express themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want that. You want ease of use. You want no friction. You want people to feel comfortable, right? So yeah, I think you're going very granial, and I think that's a win. That it might take a little longer, but you're in the right position and you're moving in the right direction. So I think you do that right, it's gonna be a game changer.
Yeah, and it's not even just Spanish. There's so many other languages where there's like a local dialect, and for most companies, they're just like, oh, it's too hard, or like, is that really necessary?
No, they're gonna be like, well, we serve the majority of people. Matter, right? But like I was talking to my other boy, I was like, bro, Latin America is most of the world. Like, why are people not over there? Like, why are you not trying to get people from Latin America, Colombia, like different spots? Because they all interface. Puerto Rico, DR, Haiti, all these people know each other. And that's the super win. The super win is to serve as many people as possible, and you have the right vehicle for it.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I think we're gonna sum up the show. Pabel, if they want to contact you for anything, please speak to the camera. Tell them where to get you.
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn at Pabel Martinez. If you're interested in the app, check out our website, Plurawl.com. There's a link where you can go into the Apple App Store to download the app. And if you have an Android, we're about to launch in the next few months, but sign up for the wait list so that you'll be the first to know when it launches.
And me, Ask Louis Omar on all platforms. If you have a question, I'm here. If you want to talk to my man Pabel, hit me up. I'll get you for it. All right? And we are out.